Hello and welcome to the Becoming Your Highest Self podcast. I'm your host, Macy Renee, and we are going on a journey together, my friend. If you've been looking for a podcast geared towards your growth, self-awareness, navigating your brain's daily mind drama, and deep inner work to become your highest and best self, you are in the perfect place. Let's get started. Good morning, my friends. I hope that you are doing good this morning and that today is an up day for you. If you're riding the COVID-19 roller coaster, I feel like I'm doing pretty well overall. I had to get out of those initial 2 weeks of shock and really just learn how to handle myself fully and use my tools. And so I hope that your mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual health are good during this time. But if it feels a little wonky, remember that this podcast helps to empower you and lift you up and give you your power back. So find an episode that resonates with you. Just pick one with a title that seems to be it and follow your intuition, and hopefully it will help turn your day around. So today is going to be a little bit different on the podcast. Normally I come on here and I full out share a specific topic. And while I am going to talk a little bit about something that blew my mind the other day, I also want to share with you guys what Inner Mastery is like. So if you're not familiar, Inner Mastery is a 12-week program that I run usually 2 to 3 times a year. Last year it ran 3 times. This year I'll probably run twice. But it's my signature course, the one that sells out the most, and it's the program that transforms women overall. And so I thought that I would grab one of the coaching workbooks and go through some different things that we talk about, so that way if it resonates, that you have the information, because this course enrollment closes May 10th, and it starts May 13th, okay? And so I don't know if it's going to run again this year, if I'll do it a second run or not. So I wanted to at least get the information out there so you have it, share with you what that's all about, and if you have any questions, of course, you can come back and reach out to me, okay? But what I was reading the other day really gave me like this aha moment, which I love when that happens. I love whenever I'm reading information and something new immediately makes my heart explode. And I think the reason I so look forward to those moments is because I've been doing personal development for 6 years. And when you get into the personal development world, you read a lot of the same things, right? It's like everybody wants the secret recipe. Everybody wants to know how to change their life, how to live the life they're desiring, how to accumulate more wealth, how to do this, how to do that. In the personal development industry, literally teaches you who and how to become that person so that you can have the life that you desire. And I've been reading these books for 6 years, and you guys, funny enough, most of them say the same things, okay? But here's the tricky thing. When you are seeing and reading and absorbing the same things all the time, what have I told you guys? It becomes a part of your autopilot process. So sometimes the tricky thing about personal development is you've got this autopilot process where you know the information, but just because you know it doesn't always mean you're actually implementing it. And then the ego comes in and it says, yeah, I already know this, right? It's like our reticular activating system in our brain is basically the part of our brain that remembers and basically points out information that we find relevant. So this meaning, like, I'm the queen of examples. I like visuals. So if you want to buy a red Toyota Camry, your reticular activating system now deems that red Toyota Camry as important. It's very important to your brain. So when you're out driving and you go to park at Walmart, you're going to see a red Toyota Camry. When you're on the highway, you're going to see a red Toyota Camry. And then you're going to be like, oh my gosh, like this is the car that I love and now I'm seeing it everywhere. Like how many times have you done that where you're like, oh my God, now I see it everywhere? That's because of your reticular activating system, okay? It figures out what is relevant to you and it focuses on that. And it can be a very good thing, but it can also be kind of a bite you in the butt type of thing, because this means that your brain only sees what it finds as relevant, okay? It only sees what it finds relevant. So this is why a lot of authors, especially in personal development, say, read my book 4-5 times, because every time you read it, you will see something new. You will have something hit you. And so while all of the personal development books that I've read are very similar in one way or another, excuse me, I'm over here like having acid reflux. I'm sorry, you guys. While all of the books are somewhat similar and a lot of them repeat the same things, my reticular activating system knows a lot of what to look for, right? It's telling me about, how to change my mindset and how to look at things differently and how to question my beliefs and how to look at my limits and all of that. So my brain knows to look for that. So that's what it sees in a book. So I personally say like a little prayer before I do any personal development, before I listen to a coach online, to remind my ego that I don't know it all. That just because I've done this every day, literally there's not a day that goes by in my life in 6 years where I have not touched, read, listened, whatever, to some sort of personal development. It is a part of my life every day. Personal development, I live it, I breathe it, I study it. It changed my life, and it's an everyday thing. So working on yourself is an everyday evolving process. So what I have to do is make sure that my reticular activating system is not just skimming over information because it already knows it and because that's what it sees as relevant, right? So I really do have to be intentional about setting kind of like a little prayer for myself of like, okay, ego, I understand that you want to be in this position where you know it all and you don't need any help, but there could be valuable things that you learn if you allow yourself to see with a different set of eyes. And so this is something that you can do too if you're a personal development guru, or even if you're new in your personal development journey. Catch your ego maybe saying, we already know this. We already know this. We've already heard this. We've already heard 2 coaches talk about this. We've already read it in 3 books. If your life hasn't changed after, reading those 3 books and listening to those 2 coaches, and maybe you're doing more work every single day or listening to podcasts or TED Talks or whatever it is, and you're like, yeah, I already know this stuff, but your life isn't where you want it to be, that's a perfect example of the information, the knowledge is there, but the implementation isn't. Because as soon as you begin implementing, your life changes. I promise you. I've been on the receiving end of both, right? Being the person that has all the knowledge, but not a lot is happening, and being the person that knows all of the knowledge and is implementing that knowledge, and then life is changing. So I think sometimes what our brain likes to do is say, yeah, I already know this, I already know this, I already know this, I don't need to know this again. But the reason that it does that is this protective mechanism where it doesn't really, it doesn't want to face the ego in that process, okay? So I was reading a book the other day, and it talked about basically how it's so important for us to recognize our state of being. And it was talking about how being is everything. Like, who are you being? Okay? being. Who are you being? And what it basically said that blew my mind was like, if you are being, that means you're in the present moment. You're not in the future and you're not in the past. You are in the moment. And that's all you ever have. All you ever have is in the moment. And I used to hear this all the time in my network marketing business, right? My MLM. And I would get so frustrated because I didn't really understand that. I mean, he would always say, like, the only moment you have is now. And I was such a future dreamer, which I still am. So I have to tell myself to come back down to the present moment a lot because I love seeing into my future. I love creating, my future, but sometimes I can get stuck there. So I have to reel it back in and say, okay, all you have right now is the present moment. So what is something that you can do now? So this book was talking about it's very important to recognize your state of being because your state of being is in the present moment. And whatever you are being and whatever you are feeling in the moment contributes to the thoughts that you're going to have. Okay, so this is really important. It's like, it said, if you are being frustrated, that means in this present moment, you are an energetic body of frustration. If you're an energetic body of frustration, you are now going to trigger thoughts around frustration. And if we know that our mind and our mindset contributes to who we become based on who we're being, it's very important to recognize those moments when you're not being what you want to be that is going to contribute to your future. And for some reason, I've probably read stuff like that over and over and over again for 6 years, and for some reason it just now hit. So what it was saying is that being is literally a choice because being is being present. So if you are being frustrated because of something that has happened in your life, maybe there's something circumstantial, that in the present moment, which is now, you get to decide how you want to be. And do you want to be frustrated or do you want to be happy? Well, if you want to be happy, you have to make that choice of being happy. And when you can take your present moment self and say, I'm going to be happy in the state of now, okay? I'm going to be happy in the state of now. Now you are giving your mind the opportunity to think happy thoughts. And now you're a being of energetic happiness. So you can attract the things that bring you happiness, right? You can see the things that give you happiness. Going back to the reticular activating system, when you are being frustrated, being angry, being sad in the now, in the present moment, because that's what being is, when you are being that, your reticular activating system is focused on frustrated, angry, sad, anxious, right? So it's going to point out everything in your life that is that. And a lot of times the very things that it's pointing out to, like when you're being frustrated, you're not even being in like the present moment, because a lot of times when you're frustrated, your brain immediately goes to all of the things in the future that's going to be wrong. Like the rest of my day is going to be bad. Everybody's going to get on my nerves. The way that I wanted today is not going to go, like the way that I wanted today to go is not going to go that way. So you take even your state of being in the now and then you start projecting it into a future, creating frustration because that's your current state of being. And then you're getting results that you don't even want. So anyways, you guys, I had to share that with you because my mind like exploded and it made me really feel conscious about, okay, I want to make sure that whenever I'm feeling a negative emotion, that I'm understanding that in that moment, that's my current state of being. And while it's not a bad thing to have the negative emotion, because that's a part of our humanness and our human experience, it's like, okay, but I don't want to stay there and I don't want to create my results from that present being that I'm being, right? That present emotion that I'm having. I don't want to create my future from that. So I always have a choice as to how long and if I'm going to even stay in that state of being. And I don't want to create from a negative place. So if I want happy thoughts, I have to change my state of being to happy, and that's just a decision. And I know that saying that is probably like, you're like, oh, easier said than done. When I'm mad, it's just not just like, oh, I'm going to be happy. I understand that. That's a part of our humanness too. I understand that. But you can choose. You can just decide. I mean, you can choose to let it linger, and you can choose to be frustrated the rest of the day, You can choose that. That's your right as a human being. That's your, your freedom of choice. You get to choose that. But if you're not wanting to create your next level steps from that place, it'd be very beneficial to you to say, okay, who I'm being in this moment is not very beneficial to me, and it is a choice. So I can choose to be happy. And only when you do that can your brain then find reasons to be happy. So that's another thing that I was saying. When you choose to be frustrated, it's going to find all the reasons that you're frustrated. So of course you're not going to feel happy because in your state of being, which is now, you're finding reasons to be frustrated. So you have to pull your conscious back and say, hello, we don't want to be frustrated. That's not what we want to see. We want to be happy. Okay, perfect. We're going to make the decision and decide to be happy. And now we can think of happy thoughts because that's what our brain is focused on. That's what our reticular activating system is focused on. Okay? So now I'm going to talk to you guys about inner mastery. Okay? So if you're interested in just knowing what this work is all about, right? This is not meaning like you have to leave here and sign up, you guys. This is just to give you information about what inner mastery is all about and how it came about. So I don't even know if I've told you guys about this. So back in 2017, I would say that's when I hit my rock bottom. It was 2016 when I hired a coach. So let's just rewind. In 2014, late 2013 through 2014 and 2015, those were the hardest years of my entire life, you guys. When I tell you that it was like a burning building behind me and I could look at people and smile like everything was good and everything was okay, I would do that. I did not want to let people in to see what was happening. And what was happening was our family was being pulled in so many different horrific directions because of another family member that was going through a very difficult time. Okay, and we love this family member so much, but it was just a very, very, very hard, emotional, trying time, especially for me. Like it was just the amount of responsibilities that were placed upon my shoulders. Oh my gosh, I was in occupational therapy school trying to finish strong and just felt like the weight of the world was coming crashing down on me, okay? So in 2014, I joined my relationship marketing company, and it is them that introduced me, the company that introduces me to personal development. I had never heard of it before. I didn't know what it was. I began to dive into it because I could feel how it was going to change my life. It became like if I wasn't doing anything else in my business, which is not really the point, right? You're supposed to really preach, not preach, but focus on your products and, maybe even the business opportunity. And for me, my focus was like personal development. It was my everyday. If I did nothing else in my business, I for sure was working on myself in personal development. And that's what I grasped onto because my life was just so chaotic. And then in 2016, I was introduced to a life coach, and I didn't know what a life coach was. Didn't know, had no idea. A friend was like, hey, you own a business and my coach is looking for other women in business and I think that you'd really like her. And you guys, my ego at the time was like, I don't need anybody's help. I can handle anything because I'm handling, going through actual hell right now and trying to recover from all of that. And I do not need anybody's help. And then I was reading Jen Sincero's book, You Are a Badass. And towards the end of the book, she said, if you feel like you get stuck in your life, or you feel like you can't hit a milestone that you've really been trying to hit, it might be time to hire a life coach. And I thought, it's funny that came up again. Not too long after that, this friend reached out to me again and said, hey, my coach created a free Facebook group. She's going to go live in there all the time. If you want in there, let me know. I think you would really, really like her. So I did. I got into the group, fell in love with my coach, and long story short, ended up hiring her for group coaching. Group coaching changed me forever. I think the first 6 weeks of our group coaching program, I didn't say a word, you guys. I was not ready to be vulnerable. I was not ready to tell the truth. I didn't want other women to know what truly went on behind closed doors in my life. That was just like way too scary. But then one of the women in that group was vulnerable. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, she's amazing for even being able to share all of this, and it was just really inspiring to me. So I think, my mind was spinning, and my coach could see, because it's on Zoom. It's like a video conferencing call style. So she could see that my brain was wandering, and she asked me a question, and I don't even remember what the question was, but I totally broke down in tears. And I just began sharing a lot of what I had been through. And it was so powerful. It was literally the start of my healing journey. And I will never, I just feel so grateful to her for holding that space, for asking the questions, for that program, for the women that went before me and were vulnerable when I wasn't willing to. It just changed my life. Okay. So 2016 working with a coach, 2017 working with a coach, although 2017 was when I hit my rock hard bottom. I felt like I fell from the sky and hit concrete, or just landed face first in water where it feels like concrete. It was the year where I truly, after working through a lot with my coach, I felt like I didn't know myself anymore, because what had happened was I was living my life, right, in the lens of social media, in the highlight reel, and the people that knew me but didn't know me, if that makes sense. Everything for them, they thought I lived the perfect life. I had a silver spoon in my mouth, and, there was nothing that I probably struggled with. Life wasn't hard for me. And I would hear this chatter all the time, and I would hear it through other friends, Macy's got it all together, Macy, blah, blah, blah. And it was so not my truth. But at the same time, I felt good thinking that people thought that, because I'm like, oh, good, I'm doing a good job of hiding it, right? Well, in 2017, after working with my coach for a whole year, I realized, oh my God, I have a lot of crap that I have not looked at. I have a lot of crap that I've avoided, and it feels heavy and it feels yucky, and I don't like it. And I don't even know who I am without my stories, without, pretending like everything's okay when it's not. I don't know who I am. I don't know what I want to do. I know nothing. And, it was just earth shattering. It's earth shattering when you finally look yourself in the mirror and say, I don't know who I am. Without my titles, without the role of I'm an occupational therapist, I'm a daughter, I'm a sister, I'm a granddaughter, I'm a great-granddaughter. Without that, I didn't know how to answer who I am. I really didn't. So 2017 for me was my rock bottom moment, and I did deep inner work over the next year, okay, to pull me out of that. And everything that I did to pull me out of that and discover who I am and what I wanted and how I was going to do it was the birth of Inner Mastery. Okay, it became the birth of Inner Mastery. So in Inner Mastery, my 12-week course, every single week I teach a topic that I worked on within myself at that time, okay, to change the trajectory of my life. So when people go through Inner Mastery, they show up as one woman, right? They show up, they have no idea what to expect. And a lot of the feedback that I get is oh, shit, to be completely honest. They're like, oh, shit. I feel like I went from swimming in crystal blue waters, which means everything that everybody sees on the outside are your crystal blue waters. Everybody thinks that you have no struggles. Everybody thinks that you have it all together. You're living almost like a double life because things aren't what they seem. Okay, and it doesn't mean that you're a total liar or anything like that. It's just that a lot of us, especially in our society, are trained that you don't share your stuff. You don't share your business. You don't talk about this stuff. Everything becomes a secret. And I really feel like our soul gets to a point where that becomes so very exhausting. It becomes exhausting to pretend like we're someone we're not. It becomes exhausting not to know who we are. It becomes exhausting to hold so many secrets and traumas and hardships and not talk about them because we're trying to protect other people, that it starts to make us ill. It starts to make us sick. And that's what I see a lot when I'm doing my energy healing work and through Reiki and distance Reiki and all of that. And so, what a lot of women tell me is that they start this program and they're in crystal clear blue waters, and then we dive into the topics and I start stripping them down so that they can see themselves, so that they can acknowledge maybe things that they've experienced, things that they were taught, beliefs that they have, limiting beliefs that they have. And then all of a sudden their water gets murky and muddy. And they're like, holy shiitake mushrooms. I didn't know my water was going to be icky and dirty and yucky. And now I want out of it. How do I get out of the yucky water? And what I'm teaching you to do in Inner Mastery is lean into that and actually acknowledge all of the muddy, yucky, messy stuff that you've probably not faced maybe ever in your life, and work on healing that. It would be like in a pool being like the chlorine tablets. Inner Mastery is like the chlorine tablets to like make sure that you're actually getting all the junk out. You're not just, swimming around in all of this confusion forever. And you're also not living like everything's perfect, but you're actually addressing the very things that a lot of times keep us held back. So Inner Mastery is like the program that really focuses on your mental, emotional, spiritual well-being. It is looking at all of that. How do we need to shift your mindset in areas where it's not serving you? How do we shift you, energetically? How can I help you understand how your energy works and how you're attracting the things that you are? How can I help you, with the mental side of it? Maybe if you're someone that has, anxiety and depression from time to time, not necessarily clinical, but like, if you struggle with that, if you just struggle to feel like you know how to get yourself out of holes when you're in them, Inner Mastery is great for that. So I wanted to just kind of briefly touch through or go through what we talk about in Inner Mastery, okay? You get a coaching workbook when you go through this program, and that is to help you journal, because if you journal, a lot of times your subconscious will pull things out of you that you didn't even know existed. So I believe in journaling. I believe in, being prompted with questions that get your subconscious thinking and exploring what's in your subconscious, because that's the whole point of Inner Mastery. If we can get to your subconscious, then we can pull those things out and we can work on healing them, okay? So we talk about mastering integrity and how you show up, because this matters in the world. How are you showing up for yourself? How are you showing up for others? We talk about how to master your vision. I find that a lot of women that come through the program do not even know how to create a vision for their life. They don't know how to dream. They don't know that they don't even feel like it's possible, which is so totally sad, because we know that if you don't see it in your mind first, it's not happening for you. That's it, the end, period. If you do not see what you desire, what goals you have, what you want in your life, because you felt so beat down because it hasn't happened for you yet, maybe you thought it would have happened by now and it didn't, your brain shuts off and it doesn't even allow you to dream and visualize what you want. And if you don't even have that, you're not going to get what you want. You have to see it in your mind first. So one of the things that's very important for me very early on in the program is teaching you how to, light up your desires and execute your vision, getting very clear on what it is that you want. Then we talk about mastering your highest self. And this is all about how to release old patterns that are not serving you. We talk about how to master I am statements. Okay. So this is like what your personality is. When I'm saying an I am statement, I mean that all of us have created our own personalities by the way that we think and what we believe. And some of those things that we have in our personality database, I guess you could say, are limiting things that are not serving us at all. So in this, we rewire the mind in this module. Then we talk about mastering the mind, and I give you mindset strategies to help you take your mind from maybe woe is me or self-sabotaging to empowered statements and new beliefs that you can adopt. We talk about mastering your ego. You guys know that I love talking about that. And this is what I call the inner mean girl work, because a lot of times our ego is that inner mean girl. It's what creates separation between us as humans, and our ego fights to be right. And so I love teaching that. That is like a very eye-opening module for a lot of the ladies. We talk about mastering relationships, and this is basically me talking about not so much like your relationship with your partner or your best friend, although it does cover that, because what we actually focus on is the difference between masculine and feminine energy, and how a lot of women operate in masculine energy and how that contributes to the relationship and frustration that maybe you experience with a partner. We talk about subconscious self-destruction and limiting beliefs. Okay, so we go deeper into that, like what is holding you back? If we go back to your vision statement, what are the things that you are desiring? And also, what are the lies that you tell yourself about why you can't have it, or whatever the situation is. It's so funny that although we talk about this, the same topics, not the same topics every week, but like we have a new topic every week. And although all the women are on the same topic, that's what I'm trying to say, every woman's situation is so different. It's so unique to them and their life experience. And that's really fun and fresh, for us to show up on the calls and be able to hold space for other women. Because even though we are that week all talking about the same topic, the stories and experiences that women have can be very different from one another. So that's really cool. We talk about how to master self-love and really ask yourself what you're needing and how to give yourselves what you need. We talk about mastering how to feel your feelings, and this is the module around anxiety and buffering, and I share, a lot more into, okay, what ways are you buffering? Why are you buffering? Let's explore that deeper. We talk about how to master decision making and how your decisions come from a place of confidence or fear, and what that looks like. And then lastly, we talk about mastering belief, and that's all about making our vision a reality, okay? So this is what inner mastery is all about, and it's really learning how to master yourself. Because if you can learn how to master yourself, you can get through any hardships that life throws your way. Because a lot of times what we do is we're operating from this place of, operating from this place of victimhood, to be completely honest. We blame the circumstances, right? We're blaming COVID-19 for feeling frustrated. We're blaming COVID-19 for feeling sad. We're blaming COVID-19 for being inconvenient. And while, yes, it can be all of those things, there is a more empowering way to think about all of that stuff. It doesn't have to impact you maybe the way that it has. If you've been on just an emotional roller coaster where you just feel very defeated, if you felt like I can't even be alone with myself because I don't even like my own company, I have to be watching Netflix, I have to be on my phone all day, I have to be doing something and staying busy, otherwise I'm going to go absolutely insane, then inner mastery is for you. Because inner mastery teaches you how to be alone and content with yourself, because you're not afraid of your mind and all of the mind drama that may come up when you don't get to distract yourself. That's essentially what it comes down to. Most people in life are always distracting themselves. They run on autopilot. They don't know how to be with themselves. They have a really hard time, managing their mind. And inner mastery is everything that I had to face when I hit rock bottom. All of the things that I just told you about, each topic was the work that I did step by step. Like, this is the work that I do in order to make sure that I am not emotionally, mentally, and spiritually drowning and feeling helpless. I don't want to blame all of outside circumstances for what I'm feeling, because as soon as I blame outside circumstances, I no longer have the power to change it. But if I can change my internal state of being, right, then I have the world at my fingertips. I can do so much more with that. So inner mastery teaches you that, okay? So here's the deal. If you listen to this podcast today, I want you to know that pre-enrollment is open. Pre-enrollment closes at midnight on May 1st. If you do the pay in full, you save $191 on enrollment, okay? Now, if you don't get in the pre-enrollment, or if you just have no interest in that, or it's just too big of a chunk right now to be able to do that, there's also payment plans available, okay? And you can use that as well. So what you get by getting in this program, we're going to start May 13th. Enrollment closes on May 10th, so get in as soon as you can. But you get 12 weeks. We're on Zoom together as a group of women, okay? We typically meet Wednesdays from 8 to 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. Based on what the group needs, that's always been, like, I've always allowed that to be changeable. But that's worked for the last, this is my second year going into Intermastery. So that's always seemed to work for everybody, no matter what time zone they're in. Because I do have to keep in mind that I have women in other time zones, which is exciting, by the way. And here's what's new this round of Intermastery that didn't exist last year. This year, you also get access to the digital version of Intermastery. So I have been working on a digital version of Intermastery so that way people who don't take the live course can take the digital course. And I think what's really exciting about this is that all of the women that get in this group for the 12 weeks, they get to go through this with a tribe of women, right, who are also working on themselves and doing a lot of the work together. But if they ever need to reference the information and they don't want to go back and watch a 90-minute coaching call because, each woman a lot of times is taking turns sharing their side of whatever we're working on. And I realize that can take a lot of time to go back and watch. What I love is if a woman says, what did she say about mastering my ego? I don't really remember that module. And, I don't really have 90 minutes to go back and listen to the whole thing, but I think it would be valuable to have that information. They can log into their student portal and watch the module on mastering their ego. And that is simply a video recording of me teaching them hands-on with my whiteboard. So I love that this new group of Intermastery is going to get access to both of those. So this is a really exciting thing. You're basically getting 2 versions of the program for the price of one, and you get access to it for a lifetime. So you will have access to the Facebook group for a lifetime. There's an online community on this platform. You have access to that. You get to watch all of the replays, and you also get to log into your student portal and have access to all of the information in Intermastery at your fingertips. Now, last little bonus, if you've stuck with me for this long, you will be rewarded. If you go to sign up for Intermastery, you will see the opportunity to also purchase the Money Mastery course. And I don't know if it's going to automatically apply the discount or not, but you get there for the first 10 people, there is a 50% off coupon, okay? If you use the code MONEY. That's all you have to do. It might automatically go ahead and discount it for you, but if it doesn't, just know that there is a code and it's MONEY, and you'll get 50% off, and you have lifetime access to that. So if you've struggled around money and your relationship around money, and you feel a lot of lack and confusion and frustration around money, like there's never enough, I'm never going to have what I want, I'm working, I can't get ahead, like if those are your thoughts, okay, then I encourage you to use that code and get it for 50% off, okay? Because the Money Mastery course is going to close. It's not going to be one that you can buy year round. It's going to close and open periodically, so snag it while you can. So anyways, you guys, I hope that this episode was helpful for you all. And if you have any questions about Intermastery or anything else, just know you can reach out to me, connect with me on Facebook, Instagram, or email me at MacyReneeCoaching@gmail.com. And if you need anything, you know that I'm always here. Please take care of yourselves. Take care of your mental health during this time. I love you all. I'll see you next week.